Hey everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to crochet a beanie for your stuffed animal. A lot of people seem to like my crochet sweater videos, so I thought why not do a beanie? Now let's get started! First things first, you'll need some pretty chunky yarn. This is size 6, but you could always use a smaller size, it might just take longer. And you'll of course need your crochet hook. For yarn of this size, I was supposed to use a 6.5 and an 8mm crochet hook, but I forgot that I returned the bigger one I used in the last video to my friend, so all I had was this 2mm crochet hook. I just had to go with what I had, so I tried wrapping this with paper and tape to make the hook bigger. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you don't have to, because by covering it up you lose the crochet hook's smooth surface. First thing I need to do is create my slip knot. To do this, I'm kind of creating a figure 8 with my yarn, and then pulling one of the sides through in a loop, and then I can tighten that loop around my crochet hook. You actually do want to keep all these loops pretty loose, especially if your crochet hook's too small like mine. So first I'm going to start a chain, and to do this I'm wrapping my working yarn around my crochet hook and then pulling it through that loop. I'm going to do this 3 more times to create a chain of 4. This is going to determine the height of that bottom band of the beanie, so you can make this longer or shorter. I just thought this was a good size for my stuffed animal. After chaining 4, I'm going to stop and do a slip stitch into the previous chain. You'll first want to pull the loop up a little to make it loose, then put your hook into that chain, then yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on your hook. And that's how you do a slip stitch. So now I'm going to repeat that, pulling up my loop, inserting it into the next chain, yarning over and pulling that through both loops. After slip stitching into the last chain, I'm going to chain 1 and turn the whole thing over. And this is what the top view should look like. It'll have kind of a chain pattern. And next, I'm going to do a slip stitch in each of these again, but I'm only going to insert my hook into the back stitches. So as you can see, I'm not putting my hook through both stitches, only the one furthest away from me. So I'm just going to continue doing that till I get to the end. The last stitch can be a little tricky, especially since there's not much to hold on to, but I like to just puff it out so I can see that back stitch to go into. Now, just like last time, I'm going to chain 1, flip it around, and do the same thing over and over again. You'll want to keep doing this till the piece is long enough to fit around your stuffed animal's head. And it's good if it has to stretch a little to do that. Mine is getting pretty long, so I'm just going to measure it real quick. I measured my stuffed animal's head to be 13 inches around, and my piece right now is only 9.5 inches. But I overestimated how much this would stretch in the end, so I just left it at this length. So I had to put this on a smaller stuffed animal. But when you make this, just make sure your piece isn't more than 2 inches shorter than the measurement around your stuffed animal's head. Next, you may notice that along this band there's these kind of chunks of braids, and my piece ended with a braid. So I actually need to do one more row so it ends in a half braid. That just makes it easier to join the ends together, so I'm going to do one more row. After that, I'm going to match up the ends, and I'm going to have the better looking side facing inward. And I have my crochet hook taken out of the loop and now have it facing away from me. So next, I'm putting my crochet hook through the stitch that matches up with that loop and pulling that loop in from the other side. And this time you actually do want the loop to be pretty tight. Then going to the next stitch, I'm going to go through both those front and back pieces, yarn over and pull through both loops. Then I can do that one more time to fully join together the ends. After that, you can turn it inside out and the bottom band is done. Where I joined the ends together wasn't the most seamless, but that's okay, it'll just be in the back. Next, I need to count the spaces between the little braids. So as you can see when I stretch it out, those middle parts are what I need to count. Also, the part where you've joined the ends together counts as the first one. I counted a total of 20 for mine, but chances are yours probably is different. But all that matters is we want to make this number a multiple of 3. So since mine is 20, I want to round up one number to get 21, which is a multiple of 3. And to get that one extra stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets in one stitch. The first thing I need to do is chain 1. Then I need to look between the next 2 braids. These spaces are where we're going to be working into. So after I've chained 1, I'm going to insert my crochet hook into that space. And I'm going through both stitches at the top, so you're going in kind of deep. And now I'm going to do a single crochet by yarning over, pulling through that first loop. Then once there's 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again and pull through both those loops. So now I need to just do this in each stitch all the way around, but remember I have to increase my stitch count from 20 to 21, so just for this time I'm going to do another single crochet in the stitch I've already done. So this first stitch now has 2 single crochets in it. I only needed one more stitch to get to a multiple of 3, but if you needed 2 more, just do 2 single crochets in a stitch towards the middle. But right now, I can just continue doing 1 single crochet in each stitch, so that's what I'm going to do. Now this didn't get caught on camera very well, but at the end, I slip stitched into that first single crochet to join the ends. I do this a lot during this video though, so hopefully you could see it better demonstrated there. After closing up that round, I'm going to chain 2, and this will actually count for our first double crochet even though it's not a double crochet. But now to do the second one, you'll first want to yarn over, insert your crochet hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through so you have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through those first 2 loops, and then one more time for the last 2 loops. And that is how you do a double crochet. After this, I'm going to chain 1 and do a single crochet into that same stitch. So again, I'm just inserting my crochet hook, pulling yarn through that first loop, then yarning over and pulling through those last 2 loops. Now when doing the next repeat, you'll want to skip 2 stitches, so you'll want to start your double crochet at that 3rd stitch away. So again, I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that 3rd stitch, then chain 1 and do a single crochet in the same stitch. So now I just need to repeat that for every 3rd stitch all the way around. After going all the way around, I've stopped 2 stitches away from where I started, and now I'm going to do a slip stitch into the top of the first repeat we did. So I'm inserting my crochet hook at the top of that chain 2 we did in the beginning, and I'm going through the front and back stitches here, and then pulling yarn through both of the loops. And that will close up this round. Now before starting the next round, I'm going to rotate the hat 180 degrees, because this time we want to go in the opposite direction. In this round, we're basically doing the same thing as last time, except when starting, I'm not going to chain 2 first. I'm just going to go straight into doing a double crochet in that first opening. In each of our kind of scallop shapes, there are 2 openings, so for this round, we're really just working in that first opening of each section. As you can see, I'm doing 2 double crochets, then chaining 2 and doing a single crochet. Once I've gone all the way around, like last time, I'm going to do a slip stitch into that double crochet we first did, and that'll close up this round. After that, I'm going to turn the hat around again, and now going in the opposite direction, I'm going to do 1 double crochet in that next opening, and this is where it gets a little bit different. Instead of doing another double crochet, I'm going to chain 1 and then do a single crochet in that same stitch. Then I can skip 2 stitches and go to that next opening and do the same thing. 1 double crochet, chain 1, then a single crochet. Now I'm going to continue doing that all the way around. Once I get to the end, like always, I'm going to slip stitch into where we started. Then I'm going to turn the hat again, and for this next round, I'm just going to start by doing 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Then at this point, I'm going to add a little stitch marker to mark my place. I think last time I used a safety pin, but this time I'm just taking a little scrap of red yarn and pulling it through the stitch I'm at. Now for the next stitch, I'm going to crochet 2 stitches together. To do that, I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, pull the yarn through that first loop, then I'm going to go straight into that next stitch and pull the yarn through that one, so you should have a total of 3 loops on your hook. And finally, I can yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now I'm going to alternate doing that with just regular single crochets. So I'm just going from single crochet to crocheting 2 together, going back and forth all the way around. Once I've gotten back to my stitch marker, I'm actually going to repeat the same thing for 1 more round. You can stop here if you want, but I wanted to make this opening smaller, so I did 1 more round. After doing 1 more round, I am done crocheting, so I'm going to cut my yarn off to about 12 inches long. Then I can just pull the end through the loop and tighten it. We still have to close this opening though, so I'm going to take that tail and thread it through a needle. It has to be really big to fit, so I'm using this plastic one. A trick my friend showed me to thread it easily is to fold the yarn over the needle, slide it off, and then insert the folded part through the eye of the needle. Now I'm going to weave the needle through each stitch going in the circle, and once I've gone through all of them, I can pull on the yarn and tighten the opening. Now I still have to weave in this end, so I'm going to turn it inside out so the bad side's facing out. Then I'm going to insert the needle through a random stitch, and as I'm pulling it through, a loop will form, so I'm going to put my needle through that, and that'll create a knot. Now I'm going to weave my needle through some stitches going down, and then I'm going back up again, and here is where I cut it off. Now your end is all tucked in and hidden. I still need to do this 1 more time though for that yarn we started with. After weaving in the other end the exact same way, our beanie is pretty much done. After turning it inside out, it's ready to wear, but I still want to add a pom-pom to the top, so I need to start making that. I'm using leftover white yarn I had from my crochet sweater video, and instead of using a fork, which is what I usually use for pom-pom making, I cut out a piece of cardboard about 2 inches wide, and I'm going to wrap my yarn around this to give me a bigger pom-pom. Unfortunately, my camera cut out for a lot of this, but I've made pom-poms plenty of times on my channel, so I'll link a video where I do that so you can see the full tutorial. The only thing different with the cardboard though is that you'll have to slide the whole chunk of yarn off the cardboard before tying the center of it. But following the same steps as always, I got this nice big pom-pom. I just made sure to leave the yarn that I tied around the center super long because this is how I'm going to attach it to the beanie. So to attach it, I'm going to use my crochet hook to pull each end of yarn through the beanie, and then from the inside of the beanie I could just tie a knot to secure it. I only tied it once though because I wanted it to be pretty easy to take off, just in case I wanted the beanie to have a different look. And after that, my beanie is finally ready to try on. Since I made it too small to fit a Build-A-Bear, I'm putting it on a smaller stuffed animal, and the outfit I put together for her was the crochet sweater and patchwork jeans from a previous video. They were kind of big on her, but they fit well enough. Now she has a beanie to keep her head and ears warm, but since this beanie's pattern does have some holes in it, I was able to pull her ears through in case you like that look, but I thought she looked better with the ears tucked in, so I just put them back in. I really hope you liked this video and try this out. Make sure to leave any video requests you have in the comments, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. My winter break is coming up soon, so I'll hopefully be doing some big, highly requested videos really soon. I'll see you next time! Bye!